People are so cruel now. The internet can't get enough of mean-spirited content made to mock someone's appearance or cringy personality. Every week there's a new victim, and they're rarely conventionally attractive or neurotypical. I would be shocked, but I've seen this before in 2016, when right-wing cringe reaction content peaked on YouTube. The same social and political forces have come to the forefront again, only this time, your favorite TikTokers and commentary creators are making these videos. Though they're more polite when bullying blue-haired cringy people, their videos are still unnecessary. The 4-hour Lolcow exposés on YouTube and the less sophisticated high school bullying on TikTok are undeserved, as the subjects of these videos often do little wrong other than being awkward online. I'm not going to pretend that tabloid entertainment has always been above me on YouTube, or that I've never said anything that, in hindsight, was unkind on TikTok, but there's something about this kind of content that upsets me. This video is not a deep dive into any specific person. I just want to share my thoughts during this in-between period where TikTok hasn't yet selected its next victim. The public seems to yearn for 2016 in more ways than one. Beyond just craving the taste of a unicorn frappuccino, Gen Z has also tuned in to the darker cultural forces of that era. For me, those heavily filtered Instagram pictures are more than just nostalgia fodder. They carry the weight of that year's political climate. On July 19, 2016, Trump won the Republican presidential nomination, only after ripping into his competitors with crass insults. His scorched earth campaign strategy bled into every bit of even slightly political discourse that year and beyond. Tolerance of any kind of progressive ideology, especially online, vanished as soon as it arose in the years prior. If you were outwardly gender nonconforming, a woman, or not white, being visible online was not a pleasant experience, to say the least. Your videos would often end up in cringe reaction content, made by bearded men who have no indoor voice, attacking every aspect of your appearance and beliefs. Rather than disappearing, this SJW, or social justice warrior, cringe reaction content sneakily evolved into 2019 TikTok cringe. The eponymous subreddit targeted a similar group of mostly queer people and women. This period was short-lived, as TikTok use became so widespread in 2020 that even the cynical users of that subreddit began to share videos that were merely funny, not cringy. As if a switch had flipped, seemingly everyone was cringe, mostly because they were trapped inside with nothing else to do and no one around to judge them. Videos made by overly sincere, gender non-conforming people went insanely viral during this period, and these creators developed a following of genuine fans, not anti-fans. This was all on alt TikTok though. The mainstream side of TikTok featured even more popular videos of straight, conventionally attractive creators performing dub smash dances. There were no doubt many people outside the progressive algorithmic bubble who were still cringing at alt creators. The outwardly conservative attitudes held by those who still cringed at alt creators crept their way back into progressive discourse around the 2024 election season. In a matter of months, Trump returned to the White House, and the spell that everyone was under had lifted. People washed off their goth makeup, took out their piercings, and ran to the salons to bleach out their neon hair and get Utah curls. Perhaps I'm exaggerating, but the data from the last presidential election does not lie. Gen Z is developing a boomer streak, with boomer attitudes towards gender, size, sexuality, or really any deviance from the straight white norm. Even young people who don't identify as conservative act more transphobic, fatphobic, and homophobic than they did back in 2020. Many wear their progressive values as a badge of honor, but are cruel to the marginalized people they claim to care about. They'll police others who slip up, but they throw a fit when confronted about their prejudice. This group of people who claim to be progressive sometimes act overtly bigoted towards plus-sized, trans, femme, or not conventionally attractive people, despite the fact that they often check a few of those boxes themselves. Many of these people are polite towards gender non-conforming or plus-size people on and offline. But when someone steps out of line and makes them a little uncomfortable, the claws come out. The targets of their ire are random people who blow up on TikTok for all the wrong reasons. Tyler Catastrophe is an excellent example, someone who is queer, plus-sized, and deeply sincere in a way that some would describe as cringy. Though I haven't watched the mid-roll ad-ridden commentary videos about him, he doesn't strike me as an immoral person. Despite this, TikTok turned him into a supervillain, digging through every single video on his page for something, anything they could use to cast him as a monster. There was no pure motive for doing this. People wanted to bully him, but first needed a justification to do so. What followed was a month of harassment. People drew beards onto their necks with eyeliner to cosplay as him. They left rude comments on his TikTok videos every time he posted. One woman dug up an accident report from a fender bender he was in and showed his car's location, make, model, and VIN number on TikTok, and that video received 200,000 likes. On YouTube, commentary channels made deep dives into every detail of his life. To those creators, he was an infinite content glitch, not a person. When seeing this, I felt that the world had turned upside down, as these vaguely leftist channels were making content barely distinguishable from 2016 right-wing cringe reaction videos. They were laughing at plus-sized queer people making TikToks in front of their pride flags. Tyler Catastrophe wasn't the inciting incident either. This has been happening for a while. Tyler was with it enough to put the phone down, as every post he made gave these people ammunition. He gained almost 150,000 followers from this ordeal, but no doubt realizes that these people are not his fans, and that they consider him a lolcow, as in a cringy person the internet milks for lols. Other lolcows are not as with it. Often they have a mental disability with high support needs, and when they suddenly gain a large following, they think they're famous and draw more attention to themselves. The most prolific lolcows are always the weakest in the fold and have no ability to ward off further harassment. Lolcows with obvious disabilities like Joshua Block are often the targets of straight men, though. More progressive people who choose to harass someone find vaguely neurodivergent targets instead, so there's plausible deniability when they're called out for being ableist. This leaves woke enjoyers of lolcow content in an interesting position, where they condemn the torment of more mainstream lolcows while treating more niche lolcows in an equally inhumane manner. The reason these people can't find fault in what they're doing is because they think they're a better person than those they harass. The lolcow is always the sociopathic bigot, not them. What complicates things is when lolcows genuinely do something wrong. If I had to bet on the next lolcow flooding your YouTube feed, it would be that Ice Age baby cosplayer famous for eating a slice of watermelon in a weird way. The cosplay was cringe and made people uncomfortable. So of course, when lolcow enjoyers find something cringe, they have to find a way to justify their feelings of disgust by conflating them with moral indignation. This cosplayer was branded as anti-black because she had braids at one point, did blackface or at least painted her face black, and people found her Ice Age baby cosplay to be reminiscent of a minstrel show. Of course, I don't want to discount valid criticisms of this woman, but I can confidently say that none of the people making cruel videos mocking her cosplay are doing so because she did something wrong. They hate her because she's cringe and not conventionally attractive. I don't know why we have to pretend that bullying her is morally justifiable. It's just cruel. Cruelty seems to be the running theme of 2026. It's as if the 10-year nostalgia cycle stirred up the same unkindness that queer people, plus-size people, and women faced a decade ago. This bullying is more mainstream than ever, and there's little marginalized people can do to protect themselves other than staying silent online. There used to be safe spaces on social media where people were algorithmically sheltered from outsiders, but the internet has evolved. Not only do modern social media apps increasingly recommend videos to bullies outside of a creator's target audience, but people who once relied on online safe spaces have transformed into bullies themselves. This rise in mean-spirited content harassing others is wearing me down, and I feel like every time I engage with one of these videos, I lose a bit of my humanity. I wonder what toll it takes on those who watch these videos regularly. Millions of people find lolcow content entertaining, and if you're one of them, there's still a chance to hit not interested on that next Tyler Catastrophe deep dive you see on TikTok or YouTube. If you're not careful, those videos will take up too much space in your brain, and you should leave room for content that is kinder and doesn't harm the marginalized people its creators claim to defend. Anyways, I'm Robert Tolpe, and if you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.